No. This is over there. That's the dolphin. Jeez. Where'd my phone go? There it is. No. Oh, this is fine. Here. I got both. She's over there. Yeah. Like posting things and I realized, like, did I even write anything? I did. Hello, people. Happy Thursday? Yeah. She's saying Happy Friday, like, so then. That's better. Okay. So, I didn't do anything on this since yesterday, so this is the same point it was at on Tuesday. So, I was going to, because that means I haven't actually, think about it, I haven't reviewed these. Is there a motion blur there? Oh, that's not rendered one. For some reason that was rendered one. I actually opened this because I needed to, I can get rid of this. I needed to check the render. So I think I modified the stuff to where I should get motion blur. Yeah, I did. It looks like I had to sit it at 0.01, not 0.008. And it worked. So first I had to figure out where the I bit is. Right there. I don't want this scene in there anymore. And then the hell is my timing here? Okay. Well, that's the one that it looked way better to have it like that, because to me what I wanted to do was have like a contrast or a change from one thing to another, or to go from normal to not normal. And the way I thought it went was that at the beginning it feels normal and then it changes to not normal. So it already did that, and I was basically trying to do like a quick jump back, and that just didn't work. I'm thinking about this weekend retiming this too, so that I can potentially actually get it with the song correctly. But okay, so this is where it's supposed to be. Or did I change that? Did I render this differently? Yeah, I did render it differently. Okay. I think I changed the timing, so that's why that's not matched up right. Alright, so this actually has motion blur now. Oh wow, it actually looks good with the motion blur. I was surprised. I thought it was going to look like absolute shit with motion blur. It just looks like and that actually looks pretty good with motion blur too. So I will probably keep. What is this? I probably put it on there twice, I guess. Well, that's good to know. I think that the sticks. No, actually, the sticks are fine with the motion blur on too. Do need to play around with that a little bit though, because I think this motion. I think I just have to play with the camera a bit, because it doesn't. The camera doesn't give it the right feel, I think. Which is usually just a. I have a lot of time. I have 2 full weekends where I have nothing going on, so that's technically if I wanted to work a full shift all the time. That's 32 hours just in 4 days. Considering that, this shot's basically done. This one, I have 2 ways to do it. I was thinking about it. If I go the non-punching things route, it still will look pretty good. It'd be like kind of a surrounded situation, and it would be, I could do that way easier, especially since I could steal animation from something else to have Rainbow Dash land, and the rest of them is just standing and it's camera motion. I could do that in a day. The only thing that's going to be difficult still is this, but I mean, I did that animation, I mean, cheaply, but I did that animation in like an hour, so I'm not too worried about it. The main thing is, it's not about just finishing the video in terms of animating and creating the shots. It's also being able to render it. That's where the difficulty is going to lie. So I have to be able to, I have to have the time to actually put this together and have it all rendered. Yeah, I essentially use blocking. I'll show you what that kind of like because I almost didn't do it, but this part I originally was blending the original file, and then I realized that what the hell am I doing? So I did go back and undo some of the blending work I did and redid it so that I could keep the keyframes, because I know that people like being able to see like how I did the posing thing, so I try to keep the original of it before I do some of the blending. I didn't do like I did some of the other ones where I kept like different stages of it, but all right. So then run some shit on here, but so this was retimed. Because originally when I was doing it without any music in mind. I just was doing it based on an even frame rate, but it was like sometimes I knew it was going to be faster or not. So the actual one goes like that, and even here, like Rainbow Dash here doesn't really look like she's doing much, but when you have if you do the right camera work, it makes it look like it does. So, yeah, that, and then. Back off, this works better. So the keyframes. So I'm gonna hide that, and look at the keyframes. So this is how I keyed it. And some of these are keyed, some of them aren't, because I needed them to still have the flapping wings. I didn't want to lose that. Yes, this is a plushie of Derpy. So, yeah, I got it at BabsCon. I didn't have a laying down plush, so I got a laying down Derpy. Right, so here. So here I didn't really need to keyframe her flying out, because if I wanted to do that and actually have the pacing down, I'd have to keyframe basically her unmoving body just at different points, which is pointless. So I had it come out, and then I picked a point where it'd be stop, the kind of the stop point. So where is this particles? I think I had down there. Yeah. I'm going to deselect back creature. So you can see that I had the animation for the creature all the way up to this point. Then I knew that they were both going to do it. So I you can kind of see where the animation slows down here. So originally had it all the animation up to this point, then blended it with the keyframe of the creature thing up to this point, so that they were both kind of in that position. And then from there, it was just figuring out the keyframes. So I knew that I wanted Dash to do a flip over the creature. So I first had to do an initial hit, which is, I changed it afterwards to have the legs more stretched out. So it's the initial impact, and then where she starts flipping over, then the push off. And then I needed to have her start doing the arc. There you go. I'm gonna hide her element because it's not gonna. That's actually animated. And then she starts going backwards, and I like at this point I didn't care about the wing position. I only did it or really cared at certain positions. Like this position was one where I cared about the wing position, having them out. But then I just kept them out because I didn't care. I can fix that anytime I want. And then it was just having her kind of lean over, and then I knew that with whatever direction she's going to have one leg out. But then I didn't actually know what I wanted to ever do at this point, so I decided to just do the I forgot what they call that move when you have grab your hands together and you bash over your head. But at this point, I think, yeah, at this point is when I have this thing. So the other creature I have him jump to the wing position I needed him to be in. Then get the keyframe for that. And this was... So I had her coming down. I really didn't do too much between these two. I think I just arched her back more. And normally when you're trying to do like a hammer, I don't know what it's called. It's over your head, but I can't do that because her head's too big. So I had to instead try to keep her head as far back as I could and hope that that would be enough. I'll fix her eyes. And then I had to, or I think originally how I was having it planned was originally had a plan where that was where she impacts his head, and then the other one was the follow through. But I realized that that probably wasn't going to work well, so instead I did that as the follow through. And then I think I didn't add the extra detail to it afterwards. I did it in the post. But then I knew I was going to need her to take off, which was going to arch her back a lot, so I had to drag chest one way up there to try to get that arch that I needed. It kind of has like a kitty cat look to it or something, like kitty cat on the prowl. And then yeah, just like her wings are up, and then I have them going down as if the wings were flapping to pull her body up. And then I just did that pose so I could figure out my camera angle, which was this. So the camera's going to be not correct for the keyframes anymore. So, but originally it was animated with the keyframes. But then I just retimed it, and so that it was like this. So you can see the difference in the timing. But the main thing is I think like I knew what the certain bits that I thought were the most important were this, because that was going to be the initial shot. It was going to be the impact on the creature, so this one. Then the bit where she's up in the air over it, and then the one where she's here about to hit. And then this one. So I had my main ones in mind of like, I know I wanted her to be here and here and here and here. And then I said, okay, so I want to go from say this to, or I guess this would be the main one. So this to this. And it's like, well, I can't just jump from here to here. That makes no sense. I needed, if I were to blend those two, it wouldn't look good. So I had to think of what motions in between would I need to do that, and that's what I do another keyframe for in the middle. And if in between those it felt like there was another keyframe that was needed to be able to get from A to B, I would add another one in between. And so I'm not caring about adding all the little minor details. I'm caring about giving enough animation to the entire body so that nothing, or if I blended them all, it felt like not realistic motion, but at least believable motion. Then afterwards, it comes down to adding in. So like here, I had to make sure that like her wings actually flap open, that she kind of pulls in and actually arches back to grab him correctly. That's to make it realistic. All the rest was just to get it all so that everything blended and worked together, I guess. I don't use spline. People don't know what the spline is. Spline on here, or not? Yeah, spline. If I were, it takes keyframes that are by bookmark, like this. And if you have it selected, spline will automatically combine them. It's just that in here you can kind of see it. It just, like here, it didn't process this correctly. It's not the best. I am trying to figure out how things are supposed to move. And so you'll get errors like that, and they're always going to be a flat line too between them, which is going to be jagged, and you kind of lose control of your timing, because like this motion, you may want to have it go like really quickly past, or you might want to have it spread across the whole bit, so you don't. Spline is the reason I love spline though, is say I did this and I wasn't sure how it was going to look when it was being animated, I actually will use spline then to go, how will this at least kind of look? So I watch this and I say, do those look believable? And if it doesn't, I probably have to add a keyframe or readjust things. It's without having to waste my time blending them. But my actual way of blending is just using round, because I have full control of it and I prefer it that way. So like, hide the creatures here. So I'm gonna grab this in the creature one. So I'm gonna blend these two, and all I'll do is I'll just grab this and add some fall offs and just hit round. At this point it's floating, so I can just do whatever I want with it. So I'm just gonna look at this and say, does this look right? And for this, I'm gonna say, okay. How the next one combines with the previous one is important though, because if I blend it like this, and then, you know, remember where these fall offs are between those two. If I were to go like this and blend it, I'm putting fall offs over fall offs. You're usually gonna get a slight pause if you do that. Here it actually looks pretty good. But it could be a little, you have to make sure that you're crossing things over correctly with the previous one. So like here I could go with this and then say like that's fine, but now like I might want to have a quicker push off, so I'll do something like this. I'll just do that for now. And then, you know, like here, if I just do it like this, now you see like right now I'm getting that, she kind of comes to a stop and then moves. I don't want that, so I probably actually pull this like fall off further in, or even move this further back, and then that helps get rid of it. But you might even have to cross over into your other frames, because who cares, you're trying to make a fluid motion anyway. So but that's how I normally would do it, because then I have full control over how I want to have do it. Because you could do this with the blending. You don't want to actually hit that, because you're gonna, otherwise, as you can see here, I'll start pulling, or actually, well, it didn't, but I've had to pull the stuff from the previous one. So this would be you'll notice that it kind of goes quick and then slows the action down, but maybe you want to do it the other way around and you want to have it like this, where instead it's just a constant motion. So that's why I like the control. But you just have to play around with it to figure out the best way to do it. Smooth and round are I say similar. To me, it's like smooth is round, but more sedated. Round is used. I mean, you can use. I believe smooth does work for this in a way. Yeah, I mean, you can see it actually does work. It just here it gets a little bit stop pointy, so you can hit. Like there, it actually worked pretty good, but there was one in there that kind of felt like it just stopped, like right there. But it's because I had a longer pause in here. So if you actually do, if you block it, which blocking is more about, like I have the keyframes here, but then I'll go and like figure out what exactly to do in that bit, and then what to do in this bit and this bit. It's about actually like breaking it into small chunks. I don't like doing that. I like being lazy. So smooth would work too. Round is just a little bit more destructive, and with this, I really want to make sure that I get this across. So I love round. Really, the only tools I don't use here, I don't really use steady, and I don't use ramp. I think every other tool here I'll use at some point or another. Stagger is actually super useful. If you don't know what stagger does, you can grab a spot, extend your fall offs there. Stagger will just randomly take every bone and move them to the left or right of that middle point. So if you hit stagger here, you'll see that everything kind of shifts around, and it's super useful for. And like this is not going to work very well. It's going to probably, yeah, like look effed up. It's just kind of funny. But it's useful for if you have a repetitive motion of, say, a hand going like this on a surface. You could go to that hand on each time it goes down and just add a tiny little bit of stagger, and it will shift everything so that every time it goes down it's slightly different timed, and so it feels like a unique animation you put time into, and really you just took an extra 10 seconds to add it. I've done it before for hair motions to add kind of a unique feel to the hair motion, and sometimes it might be where you have to kind of like go here stagger, here stagger, here stagger, and just keep going down like that. But it is pretty nice. That is actually a pretty nifty tool. Hold and release can be pretty useful because that's where it holds, stretches everything, or slows down the middle, but it speeds it up at the ends and releases the opposite. I've used that before for trying to get a faster camera. So like if the camera's going smooth, but I kind of want to have it go faster and then slow down, then keep going faster. I really recommend you don't do a full bar on that because you're going to get some effed up stuff if you do that. But I mean, really, whatever way works for you, it's perfectly fine. As long as it's getting the final product that matters. So the main thing I would say is you should keyframe in some way. If it's complex motion, if it's some simple motion where it's just a head turning or something, maybe you can get away with not doing it. But even then, it depends on the shot, because I showed before that sometimes you want to have a lot of full body movement. But I do recommend you at least try to get used to doing sub keyframing early on. And the nice thing is too is if this motion right here was not looking good, it's so easy to go and fix it. You don't have to go and readjust everything. And if also like if you just thought that this was too far forward, you can grab all of it and just grab it and slide it, and now all of them have that same effect on. Yeah, whatever works. I just do it this way because I watched the tutorial on pose to pose that Valve put out, and that's really the most I ever had in terms of like looking up info on it. I just kind of figured out my own way, knowing once I learned the tools and how to do it, and whatever way works for you. So I did want to try to finish these ones. I probably should name this one. So I still need to figure out what I want to do for this shot. Well, they're similar. I wouldn't call them different. Okay, so that's the one I'm trying to replicate here. I feel like it might be too zoomed in, but at this point, it's at this point that it starts fading into the next shot, so it's not a bad thing. Could work actually. Keep it as it is. It just definitely needs some lighting upgrades. Having a wrinkle at the camera is not in character. Yeah, looking up references is super useful. I've looked, like when I had to do horse running, I looked up how there's like a GIF of the show how they did their horses running, and watched that did like frame by frame, and then I realized I'm like, how do they crossing these legs like that? And so I looked up a real horse and compared the two, and then tried to make something work for myself. But yeah, it's if you don't know how to do a motion, look it up. There's no point in not. That's why some of like artists sometimes put out those reference sheets of like poses, or somebody posted on Twitter about a guy that did comics, and he had a picture of himself that he took, and he drew that character in that pose. And he's like, I take a picture of everything that I draw as a reference. Why not? I mean, if you aren't sure, if you're especially doing like a human character, why not record yourself doing what you think needs to be done, and then you have a reference, because there's sometimes subtle motions you just don't pick up on or you wouldn't even think about. It's a little more difficult with horses, but if it comes down to facial expressions and stuff, yeah, it's definitely going to be useful. I wonder if the eye combination here might be a little bit... Oh, not that bad, I guess. Where does this start? Oh, I guess I can't just... I have the video here. Why am I going to the corner? Or the other thing. So he is quite a ways away when this starts. I might be able to have her start further away. I know that I needed to have potentially that go further. Still, there's something with her pose I'm not liking. I'm thinking about bringing those legs crisscrossed more. Like pull this right leg, and because this left knee on further. I guess I can do that right now. Because even though it's definitely not the base pose, it still feels like the base pose, and I don't want that. The main thing I wanted to make sure of is I wanted to make sure, like this looks like 3 legs. I want to make sure that with the lighting, they at least feel separated. And like here, one thing I'm not liking about it is it kind of makes it feel like her leg's broken, which it kind of is. Is that locked? That's because that's locked. The cloud model I have came in with a map of some sort. Give me a sec, I can see if I can figure it out. I think that could work, but I might need to pull a different leg back. I'll think about that later. I at least want to get this one done so it's renderable. I live in the central time zone of the United States. Minnesota. Okay, so in the user mod, that means it's probably from, no, it's not from that. What is that from? I don't know if I could tell you, because I downloaded this what looks to be in February of 2015, so a year and a or 2.5 years ago. It's just a model I've had for a while called White Cloud. I've just used it for a lot of different stuff, but it's a super simple model. It's nothing elaborate. It's just this little thing right here. I guess I can go and find one of them. So yeah, this is just one of them. So it's just a rounded texture of a cloud. I just use it in mass. I mean, this one, that's a 481 1600, so I have 1200 models of it. So that's why it looks like a lot. The more you have, the more fluid it feels and liquid if you move them all differently. So it might have already come with it, but being that the date says 2.5 years ago, I don't know if it comes with SFM, because I downloaded SFM before that and I haven't updated it, or I haven't reinstalled or anything. So I think the date would show before then. Alright, let me see if I can back the camera up here. Yeah, it's nice because it's rounded. If it was flat, it would feel flat. I like to shine light specifically at it, and then you can hit specific parts, and it's easier because it's rounded for that. But then you can also take it and like rotate it, and it'll create, and it'll look more like a realistic cloud. So you take like, this one sometimes crashed my computer, but. What do not completely crash my computer, crashes the screen. So like up here, all I do is take a couple of those models, overlap them in like different layers, and then I just moved them slightly differently. So I like here, you can see I have where's my clouds for that one. So yeah, here there's only 3 different models, but I have them all 3 moving the same direction, but then I took each one and gave them a slightly different rotation. Some into each other, and some other ones moved up, just maybe I sped it up a little bit and pushed it into it. So it takes a single texture, and then because they're overlapping in such a way, they don't really look like separate textures. They then look like they're expanding like an actual cloud. So you get the effect like that. So I mean, and that was with just, pretty sure that's 4 actually. Yeah, there's 4. So those 4. So this one's just kind of going off that way, this one's turning a little bit, and then these 2 are almost on top of each other, turning opposite directions and slowly expanding. And you get some, with just 16 models, I was able to make a pretty nice looking sky. So, I gotta remember when I render this, these actually have to be animated. It's just they break every time, and I save it and close it. So yeah, clouds. But you do it with any one. Just look up a cloud, like with a cloud texture with a semi-transparent background. You can probably make multiples of that, which I should probably actually do, is override that same texture with that, have a couple different cloud effects, because it would make that a lot easier for making a realistic cloud when you're not having the same texture over and over and over again, because all the ones I use are the exact same texture, just modify how they're positioned or lit. And if you add 100 of them, it's hard to tell them apart. Yeah, I don't think it's needed. I think I'm fine with how it is. It keeps it consistently paced. And if I back up too much, I run the risk of it showing the fact that I am not really on any, or don't have her on any ground. Well, there's kind of that feel from this that he's not on any ground, especially with how everything's moving. So I think they kind of imply that that's like an ocean or something. I'm not sure, especially since I don't remember him ever being by an ocean. Anime intros. Probably I'm going to turn this, put this down, turn this up. But I have to make sure of is, or at least I want to try to match, is on here. This is the horizon line from the middle of the camera here to about the 1/3 line here. On here, it is not that. To be realistic, it has to be about there. Oh, a little higher. What does it look like at the end? It's implied to be almost perfectly straight by the end. Does need to turn a bit, and these does need to turn up a bit. Just trying to make it work. I feel like this should maybe back out a bit. I gotta remember that this is going to start fading at this point. I think he also stays forward most of the time, and then it crosses in front of the camera. Okay, I like that more. The motion here is I'm trying to move one camera in different positions around the focus central point, and if I make any changes to the a lot of the on a single camera that's trying to do that motion, it's going to destroy how it's looking at that single object. So I use the helper as a way to try to offset that a bit. So the helper's kind of controlling the position and main rotation, so like where it's moving, so like the large motions, and then the actual camera itself is doing the fine nuances. It makes it so that if I retime and I have to adjust things a little bit more, I'm not destroying the camera as much, and it keeps it smoother. Because if you start trying to do little nuanced movements with the camera, like if you're trying to have it turn just slightly to keep up with something while it's doing large motions, those little small movements are going to get drowned out by that large motion. So I do, but if I have it so that the camera helper is doing a large motion, but the camera has everything as 0 because it's just moving with that other object, it can do those fine motions without it being destroyed. It starts getting you an issue like right here. There's a little bit of a little wobble here with the camera. from here to here, you can kind of see that it goes up and then back down again. Right there, down. It's not much, but it's not as easy on a normal camera. I could just round to get rid of it because it's not, they're separate now. So it has its positives and negatives, but when it comes to motions like this, I found way more benefit in having camera helper. I actually have it in here. I don't know if I have it in any of these other ones. In this one. Oh, this one has a camera helper for the same reason. For a lot of the fight sequences, I have a camera helper. Like, I think one of them's attached to the character, and then the camera's on its own, so it can just, when it moves, it's to create extra effects instead of trying to do the movement and the bouncy effects. Like when he moves, to have it stay behind a little bit, it's easier to do that than to have it do both movement and bounce. Hello. Hello. But yeah, I have this little wobble here I want to get rid of now. But I don't think I'm going to be able to fix it by just grabbing both these. And there was... yeah, it didn't really fix that. Yeah, it kind of cleaned it up though. It works great when you first make stuff, but cleaning it up starts getting really cool. I'll leave it as it is. Alright, so there's the implication of some kind of a ground or something back here, but I don't know. For one, there's white clouds passing overhead in a method that's like, I have the distance ones, they're spinning to simulate passing, but that's not going to be, I think, an end all here. So I'm going to take the clouds from this shot. I'm going to bring them into this shot. They're all black, which is probably going to be a problem. They're also big. I guess I can always fix that, but that's the problem. These clouds are probably not going to work just because they're made for a different type of shot. Yeah, the only way that they would work is if I had a much bigger area to work with, which I guess I can make. Ignore that for now. It's probably gonna have my lighting destroyed. Yep. Let's just see how the clouds look like that. So I don't want to have to animate a whole bunch of clouds again. It's time consuming. Maybe. My only problem right now is that they aren't lit, but that could be fixed because they all take in light. So double check. Oh, I think I have the other side of it. Oh, unless these ones are set up with an override of some sort. Not. Why aren't you lighting up? Because here they're lit. Why are you not lit here? What did I do to you, Cloud? Oh, okay, so it is this side. Okay, so it just wasn't very bright. I'll keep those on. I think these lights are just overshadowing. Okay, there we go. Hey, white clouds. Probably not gonna work that way. definitely doable. I could also just adjust the sky dome and all that too. I think I'll try going for it and see what I can do. Just gonna take some adjustments. For one, camera. Goes from there to there, so I can put it pretty far in the corner here. Wait, camera helper's on the moves. Can't put it here because the camera hits the wall. Put it up to there, and then it goes to there. Okay. That gives me a lot more room to play with. Can't really make it much bigger than that or change that because I'm utilizing that line, which actually by making these changes did move that line. Okay, I want to change it so that I'm not getting this part in there. Just after this point. Then I don't have to worry about it at all. Okay. Alright, now I'm not going to worry about clouds, I just want to get this part figured out right now. So, lighting for this. Clouds are going to be pretty general. I need to make sure I'm hitting all sides pretty evenly. I don't want to have any of the lights hitting her. If I put it lighted on this side, what does it look like on this side? Oh, I forgot I'd turn it with it. Turn it too much. It's pretty dim here compared to here. And it is lighting her a little bit right there. No, min distance isn't going to do anything here. Nah, maybe. Ha, it does work. What is this one doing? This one is for lighting the ground a bit more. But I don't know if it's needed. Yeah, especially since I might play around with that a bit more to change what that actually looks like. And my aperture is at really small. Do that. I don't know. Let's just see. I actually kind of like it as just an extra bright light down there. I'll keep it for now. Who's that pony? It's gold petals. Alright, her lighting shouldn't be any different. But I do want to buff it a bit. So for one, when the rim comes around here, I think anyways, it's too bright in her face. So I'm probably going to actually up through this point. Have it do a change at the end. I'm going to take her rim and move it a bit. Not apple bloom. So I might fix it because I don't like how that hair is acting. I told you who it is. Game's over. Your guesses mean nothing. Zoning out, trying to figure out the best way to get some of this. So the sky actually might work as it is. I think it's going to need a brighter skybox, especially if it's nice and bright. Skybox. See the line there. Because like here, how the lighting is, I kind of like, I need to balance it out a little bit. But in terms of the sky, it actually works. But then you get to here and it just doesn't. I think mainly because, at least my guess is, this light is further away because it's not at the center point of rotation anymore. So, what if I move you closer? That's cloud going by in the background right there. It's making me feel like there's another break. Now see, that kind of works for fixing the brightness. Again, I'm not too worried about anything after this point. The main thing is having it right up to that point. This implies a higher ambient. I think I'm gonna have to do some clouds and see how those work. Feeling that they're actually moving too slow. Though really I feel like the sky might be moving too fast, if anything. Because in here it's implied that the sky is spinning at the rate at which it's going around him. So I'm not going to be able to get some degree bit on it or anything, but we will play ahead to here about half. Oh yeah, that breaks these things, doesn't it? Let's see if I'm going to stretch it instead. Seem like a realistic speed. No, still too fast. I think if I add actually animated clouds, it'll help here. The main purpose of that, having the background moving like it is just to keep things moving. That's a more realistic speed. What map is this? This is the Void. As I do almost everything in. Oops. Bam. No, it's not a skybox. This is a sky dome. The workshop has a couple you can get, and then so I take that. I don't use sky domes very often though. I prefer sky cards on them by a lot because they provide a lot better detail. This kind of works. So I need to readjust some things. So out of these ones right here aren't on camera ever. No. So we're going to move them backwards. Place them where they would be in camera. this skybox in a sec, or sky dome in a sec. Neri, I believe. Yeah, Neri made this one. He also made the sky card model. That's nice because it's curved, meaning that if you need to make it really, really big, having it curved means you can kind of fit it in the corners a little better. But I really like having the sky cards more, and I think I have to have at least one of the. Yeah, this one uses it. So, just a model. I went and got the texture for it. So the model itself doesn't come with that texture, but since it's just a plain texture, or a flat plane, you can attach any texture you want to it. Well, a sky dome requires you get something that is able to be stretched to do within a dome shape. It's just a model. Like this one is just a model I loaded, and this sky dome is literally just a model. I just have it really, really big. Normally it's like that big. But the nice thing about sky domes to me is not as much. Even when you're inside it, you can see all the sky, but when you're on the outside, you can still see through the wall of it, meaning that in this case I can see the sky dome, and if I keep backing up, even though at this, or like say at, I'm probably not going to be able to go far enough, but even if I start backing outside of the dome, I can still see into the dome, and that has had some uses. I have one of the shots for this video that has two sky domes overlapped, and I actually pass in through one and into another, but you don't know it. But the only time I see or I would say a sky dome is the best option, is if you have a camera shot that has an unbroken vision of the sky, and when you're turning the camera at extreme amounts, if you're looking in one direction, or you have something breaking the sky up like a skyscraper or even a tree, I say it's better to take like a sky card, or if you have that breaking point, two sky cards, that middle point being broken by that object, because you're going to get much higher quality. These are like 6 textures stretched along. I mean, if you look at the quality comparison, if I go up close to this, if you think about how big this is compared to the pony here, by comparison, this is very low texture quality. But you compare that to this one, and there's a lot more detail to it. Except for these heads. I think I had to extend it a little bit. These are actually 2 sky cards, I think. Somebody made fan art of the picture from the flash I made from this. It was awesome. I posted on Twitter's for the song, sorry. But yeah, look up Neri. I think Neri's made a couple other things that actually has some that I've seen his name on that are pretty neat. Hopefully his name is like that in the group or in the workshop. I am not 100% sure. Yeah, I can show you in a sec how to do it. If you're talking about changing a sky dome, it's gonna be a little more difficult because finding a texture that works like that isn't always the easiest thing. But changing a sky card is really easy. But you'll need something that can do some kind of picture editing, like a Photoshop or a GIMP. Okay, if you do that, I can show you in a sec. Okay, that doesn't actually work the way that I wanted it to. Just hoping to give a false sense of direction with that. Because the clouds look like they're passing, but kind of. Because here it's not really, it's implying that it's going to be looking over her head, but it's not. They're actually like far at a distance. No, the main thing is, let me open a Photoshop. Well, actually, I don't even need to really show the Photoshop part because you can kind of do it yourself. The main thing you'll need is VTF Edit, which if you don't have that, you can just look it up. VTF Edit should be the first thing. Get Nemesis tools. This thing's old, but it works. 2006. Just want to make sure I get the. Well, that's a different thing. VTF Edit. I'm pretty sure that's the version I have. Just double check. I thought you got all those materials in her Neri too. Apparently not. Let's grab some random one. VTF version. Yep. So, you just get that tool, and this is for importing it so that SFM can actually utilize it, or the source engine in general. So, when you download it, it should allow some of these files to be built to be or opened in VTF Edit. So that's why it's got the little picture of the chick on there. Let me actually get the texture file for these so I can go to the right folders. It is just Neri. Oh, this was the Did I get this one from the workshop? This one might have been from the workshop. I'll just go down quick. So you gotta find the texture. Neris are easy because it's just under materials, Neri, voila. And so you want to take, first you want to export the texture that's there so you have the right dimensions. So in this case, I'll just open Sky 1. So you get a sky. Very pretty sky. I'll then just take this, export, and then it just saves it. So I'm going to save, I'm going to put it in the same folder. Though I think it's going to, yeah, I already have Sky 1. So you just export it. Then you get a sky. Yep. So I've already exported this at one point. So this just shows you the correct dimensions. So if you go up and look at it, we're at 1024 by 512. SFM is, or Source Engine in general, is based on, it's not the size of the texture that matters, it's the ratio. So you can actually increase the quality of a texture by increasing the size of this file if you want to a higher resolution as long as you do not destroy the ratio. Meaning that if I want to, I can make this double or a quadruple the quality by going to 2048, as long as the height then is also doubled, so 1024. So it's the same ratio, twice as wide as it is high, and it will still fit in that same area. But beyond that, it's just finding a different sky texture you want. So I'm just gonna look up sky. Sure. Let's see what looks like a good one. This is pretty cool looking. Then we got to make sure it's the resolution is going to match what you're putting it in. I don't really care, so I'm just going to go view image, and then we're going to go open image tab because I want it just by itself. Copy. Okay, so now we got a sky. I'm just going to stretch it so that it fits in there. We'll put it right there for shits and giggles, why not? And then we're just going to save that. If you like, here I added a layer so Photoshop's won't save it direct to Targa again. So I'm going to go back here. I want to keep the original sky there, so I'm just going to go sky 1. We'll call this test, just because why not? Default options. So now we've resaved it back again to a Targa. Targa's lossless, that's why we're doing it. It's Targa. So back to VTF edit here. I'm gonna now do I'm doing this now in reverse. So I'm doing import. We're gonna grab our folder that I'm in for the Neri thing. We're going to find our Sky 1 test, which is right here. We're going to import that. Depending on the file size, depending on how long it takes. Ignore that. That's just an option I hit before, so it's saving it. All the default options should work in there. So now we have it imported. Yay. You shouldn't have to use any options here because I don't think it matters. If you have a problem with the texture, like repeating at edges, you can just go and hit all the clamp ones, but I don't think you should have to worry about that. The main thing you probably want to hit is hit no map, no level of detail, just because when the further you get from a texture, it'll start degrading the quality because of the game engine. They're trying to maintain processing, but if you do that, it will maintain the detail no matter the distance you're going to. So checking those whenever you want to make sure a texture doesn't get blurred at a distance is important. And beyond that, that's all you really need to do on this. So we're going to go save as, not export, and we're just going to go Sky 1 test, not as Targa. We're going to just save it as the default, which is VTF. For the folder, it's here under like this one's workshop materials and area. A cheat way to do it is if you're in SFM, if you add an override material to something, and then you go and pull it up in the show element viewer and then model, you can go to the textures here. When you pull it down under materials, you can say material name Neri Sky Dome 1. Just copy everything that's in that. So I'm going to Control C, so copy. Then go back to your Sky Dome here, or whatever your model is. Right click it and go to Show Game Model in Explorer. That will bring you to the correct game that it came out of. So we're just going to go and look, and it says it came out of Game and then Workshop, so we know it's in Workshop. So I'm going to go click Workshop to go to that main directory, go to Materials, and then I can just go up here and just add in, because that directory was saying it's everything within the Materials folder. But I can't go directly to the actual texture, which is the Sky Dome 1, so let's get rid of the texture name, hit enter, and I'm right in the folder. It's a cheat way to try to get to what you need. It's just if you don't have to want to go through all the directories. But we already have that open, so. So we exported the texture, right? Yeah. So if you look in here, so we have our Targa Sky 1 test, but then we also have our Sky 1 test VTF. So we now have that, and I can open that back up in here if I want, or whatever. To get it on the model itself, So here, you can either modify the actual texture file itself, or you can make it work specifically for the scene. That's what I prefer. So we're just gonna override the base texture for this material. So if you just right-click this one, we're gonna add a new attribute, which is gonna be a string. It's a string because it has to be a file directory. You can't do that with a number or any of those other ones. String's the only one that works. So we're gonna add attribute string, and in here we are going to put number sign and then base texture. And if you're ever unsure about what to use for that, if you go to this, you got Sky1 VMT, or if you look at any VMT file, it'll give, like in here, that's all that's here is it says base texture. So you're just overriding the base texture's value. So attribute string base texture, and when you do it, it's not going to do anything in here because I have different skin selected, but it would look like this when you do that, because right now it's saying you're overriding it to nothing, a blank line that doesn't know what it's looking at, so it's purple. So I'm going to copy the material name up here, paste it back into base texture, so I'm overriding to itself, so now it looks like the normal sky texture I had, or it would have been originally. And then we're gonna just rename the texture to what that is. So sky1 _ test. Yay, it overrode it. Now I put this on a sky dome, so this is not gonna look right because it's gonna be stretched all the way around. And so that's why I meant the quality gets degraded. But what we can do, we're gonna go back to the shot and we'll just put it on a sky card. So do the exact same thing. This is my sky card. This one I already have it an overridden material on it. So you can see I've already done it on this one to add the base texture of sky sunset. So now I'm going to say instead I want to go sky1 _ test. There we go. Now you got your nice textures. And the nice thing is with this, I think Neri's stuff is preset to be unlit. Unlit means that it's ignoring all map lighting and it's lighting itself. That can be awesome, but it also can suck. So if you want, you can add in or swap out the line to say vertex lit generic. That allows you to light it. And the benefits to you lighting it are you're able to better utilize colors and shine different colored lights at it in different areas to accentuate certain features. So in this way, like here, ignore that, that's something else. But I have one large light that's lighting the sky in general, but then I have another smaller one that's lighting just this area because it's the sun coming up through there. So I want to have a larger glow in this corner, but still be dark up here. But if I had it unlit, it wouldn't do that. It would look more like, probably like this. But I don't want a bright sky up there. I want that dark so that it has that bright corner. So that's why I lit myself. Voila. So yeah, that's essentially how to do it. And if you got confused or lost anywhere in there, I do have these recorded, so I'll have it up on the YouTube channel I have listed below, so you can watch it as many times as you want. Otherwise, Twitch keeps them recorded for like 2 weeks or something, so you can always watch it on there. So, but yeah, that's how you do texture override for a skybox, for a pony model, for a hair, for a tree, anything. It's all the same for doing base overrides. And if you really play with overrides, you can do some really other cool stuff too. That's I'm actually surprised it didn't happen before. It's one of the reasons that I don't want to move to like the SF or play around with the Source 2 SFM, because it does not have overrides. Overrides are super powerful because they allow you to modify a texture to fit a shot instead of modifying a texture to fit the model. Oh, hi, Mike. Oh, it sounds like a part 2 model. I'm like, what? Sorry, Maelstrom, I'm going back here and catching up on stuff. I guess unless the model said alpha enabled. I just made a cloud out of a transparent barrel. Or a translucent barrel. Yeah, well, whether or not something is alpha is based on the texture, not the model itself. Or has any alpha. If you do an override to a model, say you like copy that shot multiple times, it'll stay with that shot. But if you were to like load in that model fresh on another shot, all those overrides are gone. If you wanted to make it a permanent change to the model, then here, like for this one, if you wanted to change the sky one permanently, so anytime it's used, it's going to be using that other sky. That's the same thing here, as you would just go here and just change this one to test. Now, anytime I load that one, that sky one, it will be the one that's overridden, because now I've actually modified the model itself. The whole purpose of overrides are to allow you to modify a model without destroying its uses anywhere else. So like, for instance, trying to think of a shot that, and actually, you know what? Gold Petals is a, well, actually these are good examples too. So, so this is not a pony that I made. Like this is, or I had done. It's just a retextured version of a different pony. So I can go into here, go to Ember. If I just turn off the overrides, you see this is actually Rabbitash. And the hair, I believe, is from Velvet Remedy. Yeah, and actually you can see that she is there. Oh. So all I did was I took her eye texture and redirected the iris portion of it to a different model or a different texture. I took her body texture, redirected that to another model. Took the hair model from Rainbow Dash, hid them completely using alpha, or I think some of them you can just disable them. Took another model, loaded up in its place, and then used alpha to override the body to hide the body texture so that it's not overlapping like that, and then retextured the hair. So I don't have an actual model for that pony, but it makes it so that I don't have to go make all the textures, build the whole QC file, recompile a model, whatever. I can just use overrides and I'm done. And that, but then I don't have Rainbow Dash permanently modified for other files. I can still work on other stuff, or in, like in this case, she's used in other scenes, and I don't want to have her use destroyed. So it helps encapsulate modifications, I guess. Were you able to load up the actual skybox on there? Like, actually get the normal one to show? I mean, like I said, it kind of went through it fast, so you might need to just kind of go through it slower at your pace. I think I might need to back up the zoom a little bit, because I think that's the problem with this is, what is the zoom on this? Oh, 85. I like the 85 more. Well, if you copy paste a model, all the files within the model are directing like underneath to other files. So if you copy paste a model, it's still directing itself to those same textures. It's not going to look elsewhere. And even if you rename that model, there's a lot of underlying linking things that if you start modifying the names of files and textures, things aren't going to connect right. So you can copy a model and make another instance of it, but you have to put it in another game directory. That's why I think I still have it here. So like here, if you go to game, this is where all the games are. I have a folder called test. So I actually have that set as a fake game, and I can throw models that are in other things into that and use them separately and withhold all this different information. But to me, still, you're never, or you shouldn't be doing overrides for like crap loads of values. At that point, it is going to be better to recompile the model to do something. But most times, if you're just replacing one texture, adding an override to it is really, really quick. So it's not that bad to just load something up, add the override, and be done. But if I copied this shot and pasted it, she would stay with that texture. Yeah. When you go into the model, like here I have a scale on it. So if you right click any of the bones, as long as they're ones that have the ability to fully move it, if you just right click it and add scale control to transforms, in this case I already have it added, then you can go and grab them and either scale them down or scale them up, however you want. And if you want them really, really big, you can right click and remap the slider to try to increase the value. So instead of 10 times its base, you could go to 100. Or if you're trying to go really small and you're having difficulty with the slider, you could remap this to 1. You have to put the default in the mid and max range, and that would allow you more slider range to be picky with it. So I think the main problem I have with the clouds is at this point they just feel like they're moving weird. Did it save the rotation I was doing with them? I don't think so. Nope. Just at this point, it just doesn't feel like they're moving correctly. Like here it actually looks pretty good, but then here it just looks like they're just like sliding at an awkward angle. I wonder if I can just fix that time. How do we know? Where do we go? Where do we go? How do we know? Where do we go? Where are we going from here? How do we know? Where do we go? Maybe if I just reduce the count, maybe it's too many. Figure out what to get rid of. And the best way to do it, probably just get rid of all the unevenness. Yep, and you don't have to export the texture out of it. because I mean you're not going to use it, but you need to have the correct dimensions or that correct ratio. A lot of textures are square, so that usually will work, but for Neri's ones they're not. And like I said, you can always scale it up to much higher texture quality if you want. I've done that before. Just only do it to like the range you need. If you're going to have a high depth of field so the backgrounds are going to be partially blurred, there's no point in having it in 8K. Alright, that did thin it out. I don't know if it thinned it out enough though. Here I think it is where I need to have these like kind of turned to feel like they're going more forward. It's just I think I have to be careful in what axis I spin them. I think it's got to be around like this point. This is 126. So the rotation is always based on the last one you select, so I go and deselect, reselect. More clouds, I think, further down. Just to fill those gaps. You're gonna have a bunch of clouds, you have to keep it balanced. Oh, when I was selecting a whole bunch of the clouds like that, yeah, it's gonna run slow, just because I have so much crap selected at once. So that probably was just, that probably wasn't you, it probably was just the stream, or SFM being itself. Put that lower because then it kind of creates a better barrier. I think the spinny clouds are going faster than these ones though. Transparency can be messy and dangerous though. If you use alpha as a percentage, it doesn't do well transitioning between not transparent and transparent and vice versa. It's going to jump in transparency, so it's not going to be smooth. But if you use like translucent and alpha test to use transparency, there are certain things when something is behind that model that's transparent that will remove all the transparency and be like in front of it. Skyboxes tend to do that. They're not like skyboxes like these that I'm playing with, but like actual map skyboxes, and just random models. I don't know what the cause is, but it gets really annoying because like Nightmare Moon's tail is slightly transparent, but when I went to use it in what was it? Luda's Banishment, the one that came with the model, I actually had that problem where it was making these models seem, they were transparent purple, but they looked like they were purple and in front of it, just the one model, and I couldn't figure out how to fix it, but the other one didn't do that, so I just kept with the old texture, even though the other one had a better look to it. So transparency and stuff in this engine doesn't work very well. SFM, if the more you have going on, the more it's going to be needing resources. So like, the only reason I was having problems there was because, I mean, if you have a lot of models selected, that's one thing. But in this case, having a lot of models selected that all have animation, you're going to have, it's going to be a little slower. Where, like, say if I go to move these, like I'm running fine right now because there's not much in terms of stuff being processed. But if I go to move these, it's going to slow way down because I'm trying to move all this models with all this motion at once. But then I've had other ones that are, the scene build is so heavy itself. I mean, even here, oops. Nope, that's right. Like here, this one's got quite a bit of stuff, so you can see it's a little slower. I think these ones are really bad. Yeah, this one's really bad. So this one's just got so much stuff going on that I'm running like this. But it's because I have a crap load of models, a crap load of lights, particle effects, a bunch of high detail dragons and clouds and all this. So it's that is just going to have a lot being processed. So, and that does affect render times too, but not in a horribly negative way. If you shut off lighting, normally a lot of those problems go away. See, it's running pretty good now. Oh, this isn't the biggest scene I have. The biggest scene I have is probably one of the other shots. I mean, this one actually runs really, really hard with the lights on. But it's because there ended up being a total of about 1,200 cloud models. And if I could definitely make this more efficient. So like these clouds that pass the camera that are right here, if I wanted to, I could actually grab them, put them back at the beginning, and have them reused a second time for coming in. But I just don't care enough. I have done that for a shot. I think it was one of the cities because it spins around and I didn't want to have that many buildings. So as the camera passes, when it passes a certain point, I took all the buildings that disappeared off the shot and moved them to in front of the next shot, so they actually are the same buildings you see as you go around. So I'm going to see how these look when they're actually lit to see if this still is viable. with this. So I want to light up the clouds, but I do not want to light up the skybox. That's going to be the challenge here. Oh yeah, I color these based on progress. So in this case, green is done, or I always use the wrong wording there. Green is renderable. Meaning that if push comes to shove, I can render it and it's good enough. I usually will still go back and clean stuff up and add things and modify, but it means that if I render it, I'm okay with it being as it is. And red means the scene started. There might be some animating, but it's still a lot of work to do. So it's kind of like I've touched it, but but nothing's finished. Gold usually means that all the camera work's basically done. All the main animating is done. It's just doing cleanup. So like animating the hair, the ears, tail, any wings, refining animation, just cleaning it up to make it look good, adding any extra particle effects. It's stuff that I feel like it needs to be done before it's actually finalized. And then if it's blue, that's just the base color for a shot, so that just means I haven't started it yet. Then I try to do like purple if it's a shot I'm working on, when there's a lot of random colors to help keep myself organized. Light blue I've been using for shots that aren't part of the video. So, but I like being able to have a visual so I can look at it, and it has like a two-step thing. One part is it helps me visualize what needs to be done where and keep me on track, and then the second one is it adds a sense of satisfaction when you can look at it and see more green. So okay, so I'm gonna call this light okay. I'll call this cloud light. Can't use one big light because then it's going to hit that skybox, so I have to play around with this to try to find, and it can hit the skybox, I guess, as long as it's not a part of the skybox that's visible. So like here, it's hitting the skybox, but it's not a visible part of the skybox. So I'm just going to call that okay. How far can I go before I visually hit the skybox? Right there. And is it a bad thing to hit the skybox? Not really. It's not like a sin. It's not gonna be like end of the world. The reason I don't want to is because I'm giving partial control of the coloration of the skybox to something that's not supposed to be having it. Meaning that if I want to modify the colors of the skybox or the lighting to it later, I suddenly have to contend with this light too, and that just makes things complicated. So I'm lighting it a little bit, but that's fine. So I can see the camera's over here, so I have to move it to where it's in my field of range. So I'll just move it to like there, just at the edge again. But that's still not lighting these very well. So I want to get over there, but I can't. Just wonder if I could probably just go behind this, see if this works. No, it's not. So I'm gonna have to get up nice and close to these. So I don't want to brighten those too much. So I'm just gonna keep brightening this. Drop down that distance on the light again. That should work. These are gonna move in and out of that range. So you see the cloud's kind of forming back there. I don't want that. Take this light. So these clouds that are forming essentially back here. So same thing. Let me get that right. We'll do that. I think there's some clouds there. Not many though. Might be able to get away with it like that because I believe her head's gonna be in the way. Yep. The final render is gonna be like 90. Oh, I can show you actually. The final render will be. This is a minute 30, so just over 90 seconds. Well, in terms of the biggest render, this is technically my biggest, but it's a cheat render, so it's kind of not really that big. This is, for distance, is probably one of the biggest. That didn't render the trees correct though, so let's ignore that. This, in terms of visuals, is probably what looks the biggest, though it's just a falsity. It's a lie. This is the one I was talking about, where the house is over here, or the buildings. As it progresses, it hits a point where those disappear and are now the buildings that are used over here. Because I'm like, I don't want to have to worry about that. I think this is also the one that the skybox crosses, where it crosses right there. Or Sky Dome. Oh, oh, the final render, sorry. I thought you meant the final video. The final render would probably take, because I do it in pieces, so I'll start a render overnight. If it's done in the morning, I'll start another render, go to work. It'll probably take, if I get 2 renders done each time like that, probably 4 to 5 days. It actually isn't that bad of a render. I thought it was going to be worse. Some of them are difficult shots, but because I have it broken up, this 20 seconds won't actually take that long. This will take one evening, or like an 8-hour period. Like an extra period of time. I can do that. So like this one is, that wasn't any of the intensive shots. This is one of them. So let's see if this is, yeah, we'll do this one. So this render was taking 24 seconds each. You can see when it swaps to a different scene, because it drops from 24 to 18, 44, 30, 26. Those are 9, because there's just not as much in the shots. But that's actually a 256 quality too, which is a high quality. So yeah, you add up all the time on that, and it's, where is that? So it's created at 148 and it was last modified at 727, so that's 5.5 hours. That's why I was going to do this in 720 for the con, because it would ensure that I had everything done at a fast render pace. But I think I might actually swap it to 1080, just because. Okay. So I worked in the black, but now you can actually see where those clouds are dark back there. Yeah, you can actually see dark portions of the clouds, which I do not want. There's other ways to go about it, but a lot of the methods don't end up with good results. Because I could like just tell them ignore lighting, glow yourself, but then you have even lighting on all surfaces, and that just looks tacky. So I'm gonna try see if I can do anything for these clouds over here. Over here. Oh, I'm in the camera zone. These ones. It's actually easier than I thought to do these ones. Yeah, I mean, that's my method. It's not the end-all method or the best method. It's just my method. And I feel it's... If something works for you, that's fine. I don't care if it's the best method or the perfect method or the preferred method. If it's what works, I just do it. I think if I add a little bit of blue here... No, not that much. Because right now it's kind of has like a yellow outline. I don't like that. I'm trying to think if I can offset that a bit. Now I got those ones down there. Well, hello, Warhorse. How goes the battle? That dark texture for right there. Hello. Is time needed? Yeah. I refuse basically unless it's a test render that I need to do or something I know will be short. I almost never do renders during the day. I will almost always do them overnight because it's just a lot of them take too long. I just don't see the point just sitting there staring at it. I had one render that said it was going to, for a 1-minute video, was going to take me 36 hours. And I just said nope and canceled it immediately and downgraded the quality. So, I mean, yeah, you'll get renders sometimes that are enormously high if you start getting a really complex scene builds. But then it just comes down to preference. I mean, do you really want to have that super detailed scene? Yes. Well, then you're going to have to deal with it. So. Does that look tacky? Not really. Okay, so there's some right there. But that's why, like, I mean, I have to go to work and I have to make money. So if I'm already going to be gone doing something else, then why not do my renders then? It just seems stupid not to at that point. shots that I can utilize the thing behind the skybox to my advantage. I feel like there might still be too many clouds here. Like I don't have any, or I don't have much blue sky. I'm gonna try getting rid of another half here and see what happens. Because I think I need that. Let's say before. I need that blue sky to. It's not supposed to be cloudy out. It's supposed to be sunny out, but the clouds just adding effect. Jeez, I'm gonna just grab the odds. I really struggle to think ahead on what to do. Or 2-6. There's a 9. Oh, I copied other ones. Oh yeah, that looks much better. The main reason I wanted to add the clouds in was that they will move differently than the background. If I just had a sky dome that was spinning, nothing moves but the sky dome, so it just looks like a singular flat surface spinning. But adding just those clouds adds something that's changing, that's different from the sky in the background. That's what I needed. Like here, there's a lot of clouds in the background, so I'm going to take my sky dome here. I'm going to spin it ahead and see if this works better. Yeah, it's got a little more blue sky in it. And actually, if I really wanted to... Oh no, I can't actually do that. I was going to move the sky dome down, but I actually need the ground of it. So, if I go any further... See, I like the beginning of this because it had a lot of blue sky, but then it pretty quickly turns into clouds, and that's not preferred. Actually, what am I beginning here? So the most blue sky is how I had it. Oh, there's that one. It's just a badly placed cloud. That's why. That one right there. So I'm gonna do it when the head's in the way. Okay. All right. Good night. That is a really cool story, Michael. Here's Michael's cool story, so that everybody that can't see chat can see. I was going to get my haircut today, then I was like, nah. It's like the story of everybody guy. You know how many times I've done that? Most of the times, if you ever see my hair really long, it's because I just didn't want to take the time to go get my haircut. Eventually I had to, but then now I have it cut, and usually I try to do it just a couple weeks before the con, but I got to do it like a month and a half before the con. Alright, so that works, but I do not like this ground yet. Something, it's just not, it's tacky right now. And especially with that hard edge that's given, and I could definitely get rid of that, or at least blend it off a little bit better. Let me get to the, oops, not the one I wanted. Delete that, or that. how high of a contrast did I have in here? So it went to a darker blue, and then it went to a flat color. Is that doable? I could use a negative light, but a negative light volumetric can sometimes mess with the colors in front of it, which might destroy some of hers. Trying to carefully place lights on a sky dome to do that. Not without spinning. So I don't know if it's quite doable. And actually, here it actually, how often does it fade like that? Let's do it for him too. Hold on, I gotta get a better shot of this. There's an actual change in the contrast I never really noticed before. So when it's changing between these, or not the contrast, but the saturation. So when this one starts, it's fine. But when it starts to end, this shot actually has this contrast decrease. And this one has a blue haze over it, or in essence has a lower contrast. And it goes and gets brighter as it goes on. It looks like it stays the same contrast all the way. This one looks the same. But it looks like it decreases contrast too. I think that these are all messing with their contrast before the end. And I gotta see how that looks actually done in here. Because I felt that these somehow had a different feel to them, and that might be why. -70. Like, I feel like I can't start it too early. I'd start towards the end because the previous one probably has to have its contrast started well before the other one starts losing it. Wait, how do you if your motion starts to reset? What do you mean by motion starts to reset? This is what I actually wanted this on. By glitching, do you mean that it spins the opposite direction than intended? Well, you should be able to see in the motion editor if there was an error like that as to what was like. I mean, that was causing it, but you should be able to see Because are you using the motion editor or the graph editor? Okay, yeah, that actually does help it blend. Because for instance, like in this shot, if I were to have the brightness and the saturation set to evenly on both, it'd be like this. And there's too much colors blending in, too many bright colors. But if I actually bring those down, it actually does help them transition. I'll do one more like that and see. So negative 70 seems like a good value. I don't want to wash it out completely. I just want to help them blend. Like this one could go without it, I think. But I'm going to do it anyway. You don't know till you try. This is obviously wrong for this shot, but yeah, it actually does. I'll have to remember to do that. It really does help these shots separate. Yeah, because look at that's just like a bunch of bleeding color, but there it actually blends correctly. I never thought about doing that before. If I cut that. Something to keep track or remember in the future. And I wonder if I should reverse her hair motion. Because then it would lead, because the camera's going that way. It feels weird having the wind go the other. If you have a lot of quick motions, especially for like blocking stuff, you have to give time for something to be on the ground too. Also, if something is supposed to be stuck to the ground during that, make sure that like that hoof stays, or that whatever stays locked while you're doing the rounding. At least for on that one, while it's touching the surface, or any of the shots that are touching the surface, because sometimes that'll help keep it there. Otherwise, sometimes it will shift and move a little bit. If it jerks up a lot, just make sure that and make sure that you've given it enough time on the ground. Because if you only have one shot of it on the ground, and you like say this area is the one where it was on the ground, but then you have these two that aren't. So this is the only one that has it on the ground. If you blend here, and then you blend here, these crossed right here where it was supposed to be on the ground, but now you have all this motion around it crossing over where it was standing on or sitting on the ground, and it will now no longer be on the ground. So usually, if you want to ensure that something stays there, you're probably going to have a couple of these different shots set in a row that that foot is locked there, so that you're not going to have multiple shots blending over that foot being down. I know I've had problems with that too, because you look at the keyframes and you're like, oh, okay, that's perfect, it looks great, but then you don't think about that, and I would do it all the time, and I would have that problem. So I usually like to have, you want to have a good shot of something interacting with an object. Ensure that it's not just sitting on one keyframe, that it's locked to that object at least for two, because then you have one that is not, that things are being blended and moving, but that is staying still. So yeah, add more shots, or well, if you add more shots but you're not doing anything in those shots, I mean, they could help, but it might be that you just, the way you have them set up, maybe it might need more in the middle there, or maybe it needs in the next shot to stay in the ground. You have to, it's all dependent on just the shot that's being done. But just if you have an object being interacted with, try to do it where you have at least two of these keyframes where that object is interacting with it. That's why with walking, walking usually has the foot forward, then when I keyframe it again, it's towards the back, so it has the full motion forward, backwards. Or if they're only going to be for a short period, I'll have one on the ground, the next one will be turned up a little bit in the next frame, so that it's starting to lift up, but it's still technically on the ground. So then the next shot, when they're all blended, it's just lifting a little bit. So, but trying to figure out the best way to go about like what keyframes are needed. The best way to do that is just to do it. It's some things can't be shown; you just have to do it. You have to get things wrong, so that when you can get a better feel for how to do it right. So don't feel discouraged if you've done things wrong, because that is, to me, the best way to learn. So mess up, do it a lot, please. You'll learn a lot from it. I think what I don't like right now is that there's no... She has a light on her back, but does she even have a highlight here? Yeah, she does. It's just not... I think it needs to follow her a little bit. I think that this is a little bright, especially since it's not really, her face is just kind of blending into the sky, but I don't know if there's a really good way to not do that without having her... You know what? This always seems to do it. I'm going to add highlights to this, and I can almost guarantee you she's going to look 10 times better. I always say left or right, but I don't know whether I mean left by the camera or left on Plummy. Let's see, right eye. Yeah, I say the fallouts are needed because if you don't use fallouts, the motion just drastically ends there. There's no... The fallouts are used to smooth the motion from one to another. So if you... I would recommend that if you're doing a lot of motion, don't use like long fallouts or fallouts. And actually, if you want to have like a lingering motion, like somebody hits the ground but then just slow, does a slow bit, don't use fallouts for that. Have a short fall off and then like grab the round and round out this flatted area because that's gonna look way better anyway. But fall offs I think should be used at least in some degree. But if you're playing with like keyframes that are only a couple frames long, you probably aren't going to be able to have room for any fall offs. So what normally I do is for the fall offs is that, say like and if you don't know, Alt M creates bookmarks at your camera spot. It would. That was weird. Okay, whatever. It's a pretty useful thing, but so you have keyframes like this, and these are really hard because how do you blend this? Normally you could blend like around like this, but a lot of times I'll just set a follow to the back, and then I'll just move it to this so that it rounds there and it rounds there, because then I'm not technically hitting that keyframe, because a lot of times your keyframes are like a pose that you want to make sure is shown, but if your follow crosses it, suddenly you're affecting that pose, so it's not a good idea. But if you do it like this and you just do round, 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 you're having this very harsh motion stop right here, and then if you blend here, you're still going to have this, so it's going to kind of be robotic. But if you at least add a follow to the back, it helps. But I'm not going to say that it's going to cure all. If you're keyframing so that you have this smaller shots, you're going to have to be really careful on how you do a lot of your motions, or you're going to have this like robotic look. That's why I try not to do super small segments for it if I can help it. Otherwise, you're going to get super caught up in that. Or if you're worried about it, do it slower. So like, work with your keyframes being like spread out like this instead. Do all the work for it, and then when you're done, you can always just go back and compress that animation or retime it or whatever to make it work better for what you need. But that's, if you're doing it like say music or something, it might not work so well. Well, hello Mitch. Don't you work or something? That's sweet. Yeah, I mean, again, that's the way that I do it. I think round works best between, but if you can find a tool that works better, or if you want to do spline and find a way to make that work, that's great. It's all the power to you. I'm just kind of giving the ideas as to what tools work for me. So, oops, gotta lock this to their head. you go into work and they were told that? Because that'd be an ass move. See what I wish is the whites of the eyes weren't so bright, but that's just the light for the map. I can't really do anything about that. So I think I'm going to try to shrink it and get it closer down here. Probably means I can't use radius. No, I need some kind of radius, otherwise that light's just super bright in that area. That's about the only point it'll actually work. The problem is with this is that one of these lights, probably rim. No, which one's doing it? Ah, man, I probably know why. Because I'm doing a high radius, that means that I need a higher light. Yeah, but if I dumb down the radius, I can dumb down that light a little bit, and then I can make the light look a little better. I think on underlight's also hitting it quite a bit. Actually, no, it's not. Oh, it's all of them together. And then the rim's affecting the other eye. Yeah. Eyes are piggy. I feel like if I'm gonna keep the ground like this, I need to do something, because having that flat line just feels weird. I do like the addition of the eye light. That does work. I'll worry about the other one later. But how do I break up the ground there? I mean, I could try to cheat it and kind of do like I was doing before. I don't think it's gonna work though, just because of how the lighting is. I can't use a ground model with the distorted ground because of how it's spinning. It's not. It's gonna disappear. I can't do water because technically that makes no sense for where she is. I could try doing mountains and just doing them like small, like they're super far away. But I have a feeling that they're not gonna work. Yay, loading models. Looking for the one with white in it. or snow. I think it's snow. I'm thinking of cloud. Cloud's the only way. There we go. I can always change these textures to whatever I want. The structure that I'm worried about. Because I could change these textures to match the ground. Snow Mountains, that's user mod. Or your user mod. Oh, I think you're actually workshop. Yes. I forgot I had a white version of this. That's not exactly what I'm going for, but that's the right size. Open that up. Screen. Let's crop that out. I just need this part. Oops, that did the whole thing. We don't want that. Do this. Alright, so I could be fucking lazy and just be like, zoop. I might just do that. I don't even care. Clems. I'll use round for going from one position to another. The only time you have problems with the leg's direction, when you're doing motion is if you want to have it do a motion that's over 180 degrees in one go, because the boats always take the shortest distance when going around. So it doesn't know to go over 180 degrees. So if you have to go from here to here, but you want it to go all the way around, it's just going to go like that. So if you want to have it go the other way, you normally have to find a midpoint for the rotation and have it move like that. Have it like do a two-step round or manually move it. Try this again with the fresh screen open. Otherwise, if I need to, I'll just half the size because it's not going to matter. I actually loaded it. I am going to drop that down though. There's no point in having it be super high 4K texture. It's just going to be slower. The best way to learn the techniques is just play with it. I've learned the most just from doing stuff. Okay, so that did that. I mean, it worked. The problem I see with it is it looks like an ice cap. I'm almost wondering if it would be better to have it go 50-50 over the texture instead. Or just go my own direction with this. I mean, really, I can. I can. These right now are not moving, which is already a problem, obviously. But I'll probably just do that, and then that, and it's still gonna do it. Oh, because that's. It's rotating on this, as I thought. Man. I could just scale it. Add scale. Now see if I can put that there. And I could probably even make it bigger. Probably like that. And I could probably add some type of false ground for that. The problem is I'm going to be portraying a large distance, which works here, but I don't know how well it'll work here. For that, we will just have to, okay, so here this is going to be difficult because these are locked, so I have to relock every one of these because otherwise the scaling is going to be wrong. I have to move by this model. Yeah. So this could take some time to get settled, but I think in terms of making this shot work, I'm thinking this might be the only way to do it that would still keep this being in character, I guess you could say, because I don't want to have it be out on the ocean, because it's like it doesn't make any sense. She's never by the ocean that I know of. And actually ground should be easy, now that I think about it. I just need a really high quality ground texture. I think ground 2. Is this the one? This is the one I edited. User mod ground. Yeah, because I hit the special ground 2. Okay. Because the benefit of ground 2 is it is perfectly flat and ready to be enlarged. 0, 2. I want you to be there. I want you to change to its positioning. 0 and 0. There we go. Oh, I didn't actually look at that. I'm not sure, because it has to be mountainy. I'll check that out later, but oh yeah. Oh, the other side. That's what it is. There we go. I've never played around with doing like stupid amounts of overrides for the transform on this. This one still has the skin, so that's good. This doesn't have the bones though, right? Yeah, okay. I swore I had done that already though. One of these I had already modified all the values to. There it is. Number 13. But I don't want to do that because I need to potentially do something else. So I'm going to do number 12. Okay, so this is the one that's 13, so I have to go to 11 because you start at 0, alright? Yeah. Okay, so that should be this one. So I want to reload number 12. save that? Nope. Okay, so that is the right texture. So now I can just scale this up a lot and see what happens. Right now my main concern is would doing something like this even be viable? Is it going to look correct? Is it going to act correct? Is the lighting going to be weird doing it like this? So that's why I'm just trying it. I feel that the ground coloration might be too dark in comparison, and then therefore just be awkward. So that's what I want to play with this first to see, does it work. It's probably not going to look the greatest right now. Actually, this looks better than I thought it would. But the ground isn't even really lit right now either, though. But if I added some extra details to it, I think that actually could work. I can't add any trees or anything though, that's the problem. Trees and stuff would be, I think, too distracting. They would go by really quick. For some reason, this even just feels like it doesn't connect. But it's 9 o'clock, so I'm gonna probably be done here. Really didn't do too much, but I answered a lot of questions, which is good too. So, but I have the whole weekend to try to get stuff done. So this one, at least I have the right direction for it, and that's the, I think, important thing here. And I figured out about that saturation drop on later ones. I might have to go through the other parts to figure out if there's any other things that like did that with. I think that it might be good to remember that if you're fading between two shots that are drastically different, it actually dropping the saturation actually helps. I think if you're doing it between similar shots, the lighting's not a big change, so who cares? But yeah, and it does help. I think sometimes the best way is to learn is just to analyze other stuff and see how they did it, and then just copy it. But hey, if they're doing it, it's probably for a reason. Like here, did they drop the saturation here? I don't think they did it there. I think those are pretty much the same, but I think that one, they're not the same in that regard. You know, maybe they did, because that sky seems to disappear before the she does. It might just be the high contrast, though. And I really wish I could have got that low angle shot like that, but that's not really doable in SFM without having. Well, I guess you could. What if I had the camera? Yeah, it's just she's not tall enough. You have to have something like that. Then you're not going to be far enough away. So you'd be like zoomed out like this to do it, and then it just looks weird. They're not, if they were taller, sure, but planes are short. Short bastards. Okay. I'm going to close this before I putz with it more. Yes. So anyways, I will be back streaming tomorrow still and stuff, and we will do more. I hope to have that shot done, and potentially the other two. The other two are basically done. It was just more of, they're not green because I couldn't fully clean them because of the errors it was having. So anyways, I will be back in like 21 hours. So anyways, guys, have a good night. I was gonna say too, I'm not sure whether next week I'm gonna do the same 4-stream thing or not. I think right now I'm planning just Tuesday, Friday, and I'll probably just be working on it on my own. But I'm not sure. We'll have to see how things go. But anyways, I'm gonna go. All right. Bye. Oh yeah. No. Yeah, alright. See you all later.
I'm just gonna see